No Exit is a 2022 release psychological horror thriller film that is filled with moral dilemmas, tense action, and emotional stakes. The film is directed by Damien Power and is based on Taylor Adams' novels. We see that the film introduces Darby Thorne, which is a young woman, and she is struggling with the addiction. Her life is in very shambles and she feels estranged from her family. Now, Darby's flaws are just immediately evident as we see around, but so is her determination when she learns her mother is just gravely ill. And the moment lays the foundation of for her redemption arc, just trying to do the things better. And right here we see that Darby's decision to escape rehab by stealing a car isn't just an act of rebellion, but it's a very desperate attempt to just reconnect with her family member because she has lost the connection and she just tried to get the things done in her own way. And that also foreshadows her resourcefulness, a key trait that just helps her later. As the story progresses, we see that because it is the movie is set in a snowy condition, as the snowstorm just worsens, Darby is just forced to stop at a very remote visitor center, and inside she meets four strangers, each distinct with its own personality, having very different kind of personality. So we see that in that remote area there is not actually many of the people, and it is also night time, so often we do not just expect a lot of people at that time. There are four people generally, or broadly we see that is the Lars, which is very kind of awkward guy and just often he's avoiding the direct interaction with the other people. Then there is the Ash, that is the charming one and the confident guy, and he's making an effort to just befriend Darby here. And then there is Ed, which appears as group and just no nonsense people, just just exuding an air of authority. Then there is Sandy, which is very quiet and subdued, often deferring to Ed. So we see that Ed and Sandy are just older one here, and Lars and Ash, they both are young guy. So we see that the scene just sets a very claustrophobic tone as Darby was already uncomfortable in social situation and just tries to assess the dynamic of the group. And we see that the tension really tries to escalate when Darby just steps outside to get cell service, and her discovery of Jay, that is a very young girl that is bound and gagged in the back of a van, is the film's turning point, because at first she was just suspecting something off about these guys, and then suddenly when she's out of that hotel, out of that restaurant, or out of that remote thing, and she just sees a young girl right there, so that is just baffled her and she just tries to get the thing done. She just tries to message 911 to call the police, or to call the cops. So because of the service center, the call is not reaching there because there is some problem in mobile or something like that, or maybe the network issue, but she just dials the message to 911 so she can really get the help, and she just dials the message that there is a child abduction in this so and so area and we need urgent help. And the stark contrast between the ordinary interaction inside and outside just creates a very powerful sense of dread. And Jay's condition just raises immediate question that who among the stranger is responsible, who has done this, and what is the motive behind that, and why is she kidnapped. This unanswered question just keep viewers like you and me just at the edge of our seat to know the suspense that why it is so done. Then we see that the Darby faces a very moral quandary, and she just alone with no immediate way to call for help. And if she confronts any of the wrong person, because there is a probability if she does that, she could just endanger herself and the little girl as well. And her decision to just remain calm, quiet, and just investigate highlights relating to this case or this thing, it just shows how intelligent and brave she is. And Darby just initially suspect Lars, the character of the goofy guy, due to his nervous behavior, and her confrontation with him just confirms her suspicion but reveals a very shocking twist that Lars isn't acting alone, and Ash, the charming and the seemingly very kind man, is the mastermind behind the abduction. Because at first sight she firstly doubt the Lars guy, because she thought that he might be the one who is behind all this stuff, and but slowly as the thing progresses and we see in the movie as the thing just goes on, and we see a little hint where we can just say that Lars is also involved, but in some of the point of this movie and some scenes of the movie, we really get the kind of a feeling where we see that Ash is just acting kind of a very seemingly good guy. So it also raises a question in our mind about his credibility, and at last we come to know that he is also involved in this abduction, and he is the one main mastermind of the culprit that is behind this so-called abduction of that little girl, that is Jay, because he just tries to deceive both the Darby and we the viewers who is just watching the movie, because offering help to her and just helping her out in very small thing and having a good conversation, so charming guy, right? That is his work. And the revelation, I think, just flips the narrative of the film. And the ash characters the ash character, that is, he's having a very calm demeanor and hides a very cold and calculating personality, and his ability to manipulate Lars and mask his true nature just makes him a very formidable antagonist. So now Darby is in deep trouble, as two of the people present in that remote area, they are just against her, and they are doing this illegal thing and just kidnapping the little girl. And but we see that she tries to seek help from the other two people, that is the older guys, that is Ed and Sandy. She was just hoping for allies, and she just seeks help from Ed and Sandy as well. But however, the reluctance to act just, I think, hints at very something darker and more gruesome. Because and we just came to know that it's revealed they were aware of the kidnapping, but they choose not to intervene between this matter or the subject or whatever the hell was going on, hoping to just profit from the ransom. So this is all kind of a planned shit, and their complexity, I think, just adds a layer of morality between that what is right and what is wrong, what has to be done and what not has to be done. Unlike Ash and Lars, they aren't actively violent, but their silence just makes them equally culpable. So they are also culprit, because even if they are not doing something physically or physically, but they are also indirectly involved in this thing. So they are also equally culprits in this movie, and now pressure just goes on her, that is Darby, just that how she will get out through this difficult condition, as Darby's attempt to free Jay from Vance just ends in a very failure. So she, as Ash catches her in the act, so it's a very kind of difficult condition for Darby there, and a very physical altercation just leaves her injured, but she just refuses to give up and just tries her best again to get the work done, get the job done. So despite her physical disadvantage, Darby just uses her wits to survive, and she creates distraction, turns ordinary objects into weapon, and just helping the things out and manipulate Lars' insecurities to sow a discord between both of them, that is him and Ash. Though young and vulnerable, Jay isn't a very passive victim. She aids Darby in a very subtle way, showing courage despite her fears. She's little girl, man, what you can expect from a little girl, but she's just strong enough, and this partnership just underscores the theme of a very mutual reliance between both of them in the very rare and difficult circumstances like that. And as the night progresses, the tension inside the visitor center just reaches a very boiling point, and Ash calms facet just cracks, revealing his very sadistic tendencies, and he becomes more aggressive, making it clear that he won't let anyone live alive. And now Darby and Jay just face a series of very brutal confrontation. Each scene, I think, just escalates the stake of the movie, just forcing Darby to push beyond her own limits. And we really see that near the climatic condition of the movie, both the Ash and the Lars just try to kill all of them. So the best way that they think that is to just burn the so-called remote place that they were staying in. So they all are killed right there, and they can just get out of this thing. So they just bring the fuel. I think fuel was with them, and they just threw the fuel all over the house, and they just lit up in the fire, and we can see that it was burning on the fire. But anyhow, the people inside, that were the Darby, the little girl Jay, and the elder dudes, that is Ed and Sandy, they just get frightened, and they just try to run from this situation, because they were too frightened, and that was just danger for their life, because their life was at the stake. And the climax, I think, just culminates in a very deadly confrontation between the Darby and Ash. And using her resourcefulness, Darby just outsmarts him and delivering a very fatal blow. And Ash's death is both a victory and moment of catharsis, as it just marks the end of the reign of the terror that was going for uh, for this whole of the night time. And Lars, just manipulated and abandoned by Ash, becomes increasingly unstable, and his death is tragic as well, as the result of his own poor decisions and misguided loyalty. And with the kidnapper just defeated, Darby just ensures that Jay is safe and contact the authorities. And the storm just begins to clear, symbolizing the end of their ordeal. And Darby's action, I think, throughout the night just signify a very meticulous transformation. She just begins the film as a broken, self-destructive individual, but she emerges as a hero, and her willingness to just risk her life for the Jay or that little girl just demonstrate her capacity for the growth and selflessness. And the ending of No Exit is actually both satisfying as well as it is a thought-provoking one, because Darby's decision to save Jay, despite her own struggle, just reflects her desire for redemption and purpose. And thematically, the ending reinforces the idea that even deeply flawed individuals are capable of heroism. And it also highlights the importance of resilience and determination in the face of overwhelming odds that were placed against them. And I think No Exit is just a very tightly constructed horror thriller film that just combines the intense action, action department, as well as it is having some of the deep scenes, because it holds the deep emotional stakes, and its confined setting, layered character, as well as the moral dilemmas and the deferred thinking, making it a very standout film in the genre. And I have to be honest with you, because the killing of those kidnappers, that is Lars and the other guys, that was, I think, just so satisfying to watch, especially the climax scene where we see that Darby just kills the Ash, that charming and very good, seemingly good guy at first sight, with just, I think, killing him very brutally with the screwdriver or that mechanic object directly into his neck region, just exploding it. I think the scene was so satisfying to watch. I felt really good because the kidnappers were died at that time, and he was the last of them, and it felt so good because I just felt the deep connection with the character of Darby as well as the little girl Jay. So I think it feels really good. And when this was, I think, second time, and first time she killed the Lars guy, I think that was directly into his forehead with the needle, with the big, I think it was a big nail, and that was just uh, stuck, or that was just used as an object to kill the Lars guy. So I think that's two of the deaths were really signifying in this movie, suggesting that the bad is over and the good ones, or the protector one, or the so-called our heroic girl, has won now. I think the movie was really good, and I felt really good, especially the plot and all things. The setting was good, and the snowstorm and remote location just, I think, amplify the character, their isolation, as well as just forcing them to confront their own vulnerabilities. And the storm just serves as a metaphor for the chaos or the mess, whatever, for that situation and the emotional turmoil within the Derby. The films, I think, masterfully explores the shifting dynamics of trust and betrayal, and Darby's struggle to identify the kidnapper just reflect the precarious nature of human relationship under the pressure. And I think each character choices reveal their moral compass, while Darby just rises to the occasion. Others like Ed and Sandy just choose self-preservation, I think, over what's doing right or wrong. And I think Darby's journey is one of the redemption. Her willingness to take the risk for everything for that little girl Jai just show that even deeply flawed individual can achieve heroism. And the Darby was once consumed by guilt and addiction, and just proves her strength and integrity by saving Jay. And her transformation, I think, offers a very good hope for a future, suggesting that redemption is possible even in the darkest circumstances, because those circumstances just make you more even stronger. And thematically, the ending reinforces, I think, the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of making a morally courageous choice at the right time, even when the odds are against you. And I think it's a very good and thought and very I think a tight suspenseful thriller that combine both the psychological tension with very, I think, deep connecting and heartfelt character growth. And it really makes a very standout film, I think, due to these two or three things, especially Darby's performance, the writing of the film, the setting, and overall feel of the film. So if you like such breakdowns, do subscribe Cinema Shadows. Thank you for watching.